Hello, everybody. Our today's topic is creation of the states in India. So, let's discuss something about this topic first, and then we will see the detailed lecture plan in this regard, and then we will see each and every part of the lecture in the complete detail. So, starting with the creation of the states in India. As we all know that India is a federal country, and in a federal country there is a two-tier government. The first tier is at the central level and the second tier is at the state level. So when India became independent, so it decided to become a federal country, and in a federal arrangement we always have one government at the central level and the other government at the state level. But during that time, there were no strict divisions of the states in India. The British political system was based on a provincial system, and it was not clear that whether these provinces should be converted into states or not. And going forward, when we adopt a federal model, then how the states should be created in India and on what basis the state should be created in India. In this regard, first we will see that what was the approach followed by the Britishers with respect to the formation of the provinces in India. So here we will see that the Britishers approach was different till the Government of India Act 1919, and after the Government of India Act 1919 the Britishers approach changed. Then after the Britishers approach we will see the approach of the Indian National Congress. So what was the opinion of the Congress with respect to the federal system of the country, which kind of the states the Congress wanted, and what was the policy of the Congress with respect to the creation of the states in India. And then here only we will get to know that even Congress had the different policies at different times. We will see that before in 1905 Congress had a different policy, and after 1905 the Congress had a different policy which continued till 1946. And then we will see that after 1946 the policy of the Congress changed. So then we will do a lot of analysis that why the what were the factors which led the Congress to change its policy, and then finally what was the fodder of the discussion in the Constituent Assembly. So we will see that Congress was not much interested in forming the linguistic states or creating the states on the basis of the language in the country immediately just after the independence. However, we all will notice that Congress was always in the favor of creation of the states on the basis of the language before the independence, but suddenly with the creation of the Pakistan, Congress will make a U-turn, and in order to justify its U-turn the Congress will form two committees. One is known as the S.K. Dhar Commission and the other one is known as the JVP Committee, and both these committees will suggest Congress not to do any immediate reorganization of the states in India. So then finally we will see that what was the final decision adopted by the Constituent Assembly, and the Constituent Assembly will decide to continue the old British political system or the arrangement, the Britishers arrangement before the independence, and only the name of the Britishers provinces will change, and there will be no such changes in the provincial arrangement done by the Britishers before independence, and the linguistic reorganization of the states will be delayed. You can say immediately it was delayed and delayed to a later period of time. So After that we will see that what led to the creation of the Andhra, and after the creation of Andhra, how and under what circumstances the State Reorganization Commission was formed, and finally how State Reorganization Commission saw this situation, and what were the suggestions given by the State Reorganization Commission, and finally on the suggestions of the State Reorganization Commission, how the reorganization of states took place in India, and was it really a linguistic reorganization or it was just a myth. So let's cover all the topics which are encompassed with the creation of the states in India. So let's get started from the beginning. So if you will see, the first thing we will see the Britishers' approach. So when you see the Britishers' approach, you will find two things. In Britishers' approach, you will first see the what Britishers wanted before the Government of India Act 1919, and second, how the Britishers' policy changed after Government of India Act 1919. So let's see and understand. So it is discussed here that before the coming of the Government of India Act, Britishers were never interested in forming any provinces or states on the basis of the people's choice. So basically, it was not in the favor of the people. The provinces were carved, designed, adjusted, and created mainly to suit the interest of the Britishers' interest. It was always designed in such a manner which can serve the British interest, and which can take care of the military needs of the Britishers. And these provincial administration and the provincial reorganization were basically done for the purpose of the security factors. And apart from the security factors, one of the other reason of the provincial reconsideration or reorganization was to suppress the nationalistic feelings. For example, if you see, the Bengal was divided to create two more provinces, but that was not to satisfy the needs of the people, but that was basically to divide the growing nationalism among the people. So that was one of the main reason based on which the Britishers always formed new provinces. So the new provinces created by the Britishers, they never intended to satisfy the needs of the common Indian people, but basically they were designed in such a manner to serve the British interest, imperial interest, and take care of their military needs, political needs, strategic factors, suppress nationalism, right? So all these factors were the hallmark of the Britishers' provincial reorganization policy. However, later, once the Britishers became clear after Government of India Act 1919 that one day they have to free India, so then going forward, Britishers made a policy that tomorrow, if India becomes free, then India should make strong states, and these states will be strong when new India will have new states. So Britishers did not want to continue the same provinces which were made by the Britishers to continue as the provinces and independent India. So the provinces which were created by the Britishers during the period of you can say slavery, during the period of the colonialism, Britishers never wanted the same provinces to continue going forward in the independent India. The fundamental reason for that was, what was the fundamental reason? The fundamental reason was that Britishers very well knew that these provinces were not natural provinces and they were not designed to consolidate the feeling of the Indians, but rather it was designed to divide the feelings of the Indians. Hence, in this regard, Hence, in this regard, the Britishers always favored the creation of the provinces as per the wishes of the people, and it said that going forward, whenever India becomes free, then India should always try to make new provinces. That means new India should have new provinces. New India should have new provinces, and new provinces should be based on wishes of people. It should be based on wishes of people. And the center should take care that the states are formed on the basis of language, race, geographical continuity, economic sufficiency, and administrative convenience. So, language was not the sole criteria to create the states as suggested by the Britishers, but Britishers advised that language factors cannot be ignored, and language is one of the prominent factor in surviving a regional government, in surviving a state government. Hence, language factors should be given the priority. However, any such linguistic reorganization should take care that it doesn't cause any kind of geographical barriers or geographical discontinuity while creating a state for the basis of the language. And the newly created state on the basis of the language should not be too much economically dependent on the center, and it should also not sacrifice the convenience of the administration or affect the or it prejudices the efficiency of administration. That means Britishers wanted that new India should have new provinces, and those new provinces should be as per the choice of people. And if the people choose language as one of the prominent factor, then obviously government can make language as the basis. But while creating any state on the basis of the language, the government should take care that there is no geographical discontinuity, and the newly created state is not too much dependent on the center, and it is not made by sacrificing the administrative efficiency or administrative convenience. So hope this knowledge is now convincing to you, and you are now 100% clear that what Britishers wanted. So if I have to summarize, I will simply say that before 1919, Britishers may not be in the favor of the language, but after 1919, even the Britishers were in the favor of creating the states on the basis of the language, but they gave a precaution that any such linguistic reorganization should not affect the geographical continuity, and the newly created state should not be too much dependent on the center, and it should not sacrifice the administrative convenience or the administrative efficiency. After this, it also becomes important to understand what was the approach of the Congress. So let us understand what was the approach of the Congress. See, Congress before 1905, Congress was not much in the favor of the creation of linguistic states. It was not much in the favor of creation of linguistic states. It was not much in the favor, and it said that if states will be or provinces will be formed on the basis of the language, then the nationalism feeling will be divided. So it's better that Bihar, Bengal, Odisha should live together. Bengalis, Biharis, Udiyas, they all should live together so that they can develop a feeling of Indianness among themselves. And if the Britishers will separate the provinces based on the language, as it was done in 1905, like separate state for Bengali people, separate state for the Hindi speaking people, separate state for the Odisha people, then obviously it will give a very discouraging effect to the growing nationalism in India, and it will not be good for the freedom struggle, and it not will be good for the national movement in the which was running at that time in the country. But after 1905, you can say they changed their opinion and they said that the linguistic reorganization should be favored, and the Britishers should definitely create new provinces, and the new provinces should be based on the language. And in order to put pressure on the Britishers, what the Congress did, Congress has taken many actions. For example, Congress created its first linguistic province. You can see Congress formed its first linguistic province in Bihar in the year 1908. So Congress started forming its branch offices on the basis of the language, and the first branch of the Congress, or you can say Congress, opened its own, you can say, office on the basis of the language for the people of Bihar in 1908. So the if any question comes that which Congress created its first linguistic province in which year and at which place, the answer is 1908, and the place is Bihar. Then Congress also favored the creation of a separate linguistic province office for Sindh in 1917. So Congress formed its second linguistic office. Means now the Congress is supposed to have a great network in the country, and Congress is supposed to have its own subsidiaries and branches in the entire country. And now the Congress is opening its branches in different provinces on the basis of the language, so that in every linguistic province there is the visibility and presence of the Congress. Then in the 1920 Nagpur session also, Congress pressurized the British government that British government should form new provinces on the basis of the language. And to further ameliorate this cause, Congress in 1937 at Calcutta session, it pressurized the Britishers and demanded from the Britishers that 3 states should be created. One state is Andhra should be created. Second state is Karnataka should be created on the basis of the language. And third is the Kerala, and Kerala should also be created on the basis of the language. So Andhra should be separated from the state of Madras, and Andhra should be made a separate Telugu state. This was the demand of the Congress in 1937. But the same Congress, you will see later, that after 1947, they will make a U-turn, and they will not be in the favor of creating a linguistic based state. So what is the point here? The point is that the Congress, which became hostile towards the creation of the linguistic states in 1946, or you can say after 1946, the same Congress was one of the greatest progenitor or advocate of the creation of the linguistic provinces. So Congress since 1905 until 1946 always wanted that the new India will have the new provinces, and new India will not continue with the provincial structure created by the Britishers, because when the Britishers created these provinces, they never kept what was in the mind of the people, and it was not organized or reorganized on the wishes of the people. So they always pressurized the Britishers that you should create new provinces, and the new provinces should be on the basis of the language. And if Britishers will not do it, then going forward, when India will become free and independent country, then Congress will make the new states, and all these old provinces made by the Britishers will be dismantled, and the entire India will be divided to form new states and new provinces, and these new states will be on the basis of the language. and they will definitely create a separate linguistic state for the Telugu speaking people, for Malayalam speaking people, and for the Kannadi speaking people. So this was the promise which was made by the Congress in 1937. This was the promise which was made by the Congress in 1920. But fundamentally, its promise was more significant in 1937, when it specifically said about the three provinces. One is the Andhra, other one is the Karnataka, and the third one is the Kerala. So this was the policy of the Congress, that Congress favored the linguistic creation of the states, that new states in the new India should be on the basis of the language. But this policy of the, you can say, linguistic provinces of the Congress changed just after the, you can say it changed just after the announcement of the creation of the Pakistan, after the cabinet mission plan, when it was clear that now there will be a separate country for the Muslims. After that, the Congress made a U-turn, and then Congress dropped its idea and dropped its plan of reorganizing the states in the new India on the basis of the language, mainly because of following problems. The first reason was the partition. So in partition, great leaders of the Indian national movement like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel realized one problem, that if today Muslims are demanding a separate country, for the Muslims, and Pakistan was created. So going forward, if we encourage linguistic identity, and if we allow people to form a separate state on the basis of the language, then what is the guarantee that these linguistic groups, after getting their own regional governments and state government, their appetite will not increase, their demands will not increase, and it is quite possible that they may even raise separatist demand, and they may raise the demand to separate themselves from the country. So suppose if today we allow the Tamilians or Gujaratis or any Malayali to form their separate state, then going forward it is quite possible that they may also demand for a separate country. So this is not good for the unity of the country, for the integrity of the country. So that's why the lessons of the partition gave a very negative experience to the leaders of the Congress, and that's why Congress thought that this is not the right time to divide India on the basis of the language, or make new states on the basis of the language, because if we do it, then going forward in future, this can become, all these linguistic identities can become a great problem, as the Muslims, certain Muslims, as the Muslim League became for the country, and Muslim League, when they were recognized as a separate party on the basis of their religion, they became a great cancer for the country, and they started demanding the formation of a separate Pakistan. So if it is quite possible that linguistic groups can also go on Muslim line, and they can also talk about separate country, which can lead to the balkanization of the country. Apart from that, what was the second factor? The second factor was the integration of the princely states in India. So in the integration of the princely states, as we all know, that half of the country was a princely state. If you will see, half of the country, almost 45% of the geographical area of the country was a princely state, and other half was British provinces, or lieutenant governors provinces, or chief commissioners provinces. As we all know that during the Britishers' time, the British India was divided into three. That is governor's province, lieutenant governor's province, and chief commissioner's province. And the rest of the half was princely states. And we all know that princely states of final settlement has not taken place. At that time, during the era of 1947, 1948, the princely states did not fully merge with India. That was the problem number one. So we should wait for half of the India, that is half of the India means the princely states, to fully merge with India. Once they will fully merge with India, then only we can divide the entire India into new states. So we should wait till the complete merger of princely states. One more reason was that princely states were not, you can say, they were not aware of the democratic institutions, they were not aware of the democratic practices. So first it is important that these princely states who have no experience of the democracy, first they should become familiar with the democratic institutions, and then only we can ask them to perform in a federal model. So it will be a you can say a very risky experiment to ask the princely states to directly become the states and start the administration based on the federal practices. So princely states cannot accept and function efficiently in a federal model until and unless they are aware of the administrative practices of the democratic model. So it is important that first we should allow the princely states to merge in the country, and once they fully merge with the India, then we should see that how these princely states are performing in the democratic setup, and once they become familiar with the democratic setup, then only we can ask the princely states to behave as a state and adopt a federal model of administration. Then the other factor because of which the linguistic reorganization was not favored was that Congress said that if today and immediately we start reorganizing India and we start dismantling the old provincial system and we start making new provinces, then we need lot of resources, because tomorrow suppose I create a separate state of Gujarat or Karnataka, then I need to make legislative assembly there, I need to make the CM's office, collector's office, high courts will be there, and this requires lot of money, and this will also require many resources to be dislocated from one state to the other state, and India is presently not in a condition to bear all such resource burden and resource expenditure. Hence, India should delay the what you can say the delay the task of reorganizing the states on the basis of the language. Then, if you come to the next separatist tendencies, there was fear in the mind of some of the Congress people that if we allow the creation of the language based states, then various linguistic states may develop separatist tendencies, and they may also pressurize the central government to form a separate country for their linguistic group. And then the other one was the environment of conflict. What is this environment of conflict? Environment of conflict means that in the light of the partition, when Hindus were fighting with the Muslims, so that was not the correct time to divide the country and create new states on the basis of the language. Then probably it was realized that Indian society was much vulnerable to the civil war, because India was a country of a different and diverse cultural communities are there. Gujaratis are there, Kashmiris are there, Punjabis are there, Haryanvis are there, Himachalis are there, Malayalam speaking people is there, then Kannadi speaking people is there. And now if we will make the states on the basis of the language, then it is quite possible that Tamil population can fight with the Telugu population for more territory. Similarly, this Kannadi population can also will fight with the Tamil community for the more territories, and for water resources, so land resource, water resource, and other natural resources, the fight will increase, the conflict can increase. So different communities who are living in the India, if they will be convinced that there is a separate government for their community, then obviously they will try to maximize more and more territory, they will try to maximize more and more resources, they will start thinking to control more and more resources, and this feeling can cause conflict between different communities, and it was quite likely that country can enter into a civil war. So if you will make the states on the basis of the language, then there was a probability of the entering into a civil war, and that was not the perfect condition in which we could have you can say arranged the country on the basis of the linguistic lines, as it would have invited lot of problems, including the problems of the civil war. Hence, to avoid civil war, the linguistic reorganization was avoided. So at that time, Nehruji realized that conserving the unity of the country, ensuring the security of the country, ensuring the defense of the country, and consolidating the feelings of nationalism was more important than the linguistic justice and making the states on the basis of the language. So because of all these partition problem, civil war problem, merger of the princely states problem, it was decided by the Congress that we will not do any linguistic reorganization, and we are not going to form any in the states on the basis of the languages. And in order to justify and increase the acceptability of their thinking, they formed two commissions and committees as well. The first commission was known as S.K. Dhar Commission, and this was formed by Constituent Assembly in 1947, which submitted its report in 1948. And later in 1948, Congress formed its own in-house committee, which is known as JVP Committee, and both this S.K. Dhar Commission and JVP Committee suggested the Congress and Constituent Assembly to drop the idea of immediate reorganization, and they said that new India should continue with the old provinces, and there should not be any tampering with the old provinces, and India should avoid creating the new provinces or new states on the basis of the language. It should be deferred, because if it is not deferred, then our country can enter into many kind of problem. So let us see what was the advice given by the S.K. Dhar Commission and what was the advice given by the JVP committee. So what S.K. Dhar Commission said, please be very careful. Most of the people think that S.K. Dhar Commission rejected the language criteria to form state. This is a wrong concept. This is not correct concept. S.K. Dhar Commission or JVP committee, they never rejected language. They only said that presently India should not involve into any kind of reorganization. India should not make new provinces or do any reorganization or tampering with the Britishers' arrangement of provinces. You can see it did not favor any reorganization of provinces. It is a wrong concept that these committees rejected language. No, they said presently you should not involve, whether language on the basis of language or on the basis of economy or on the basis of administrative efficiency. On no factor you should reorganize. Reorganization of provinces should not take place. Provinces should be reorganized whenever later you will do. Going forward means after 5 years or 10 years, if you have decided to reorganize the provinces, then you should always do it on the basis of the, if you do then, and if you have decided to do on the basis of the linguistic homogeneity, then you should always take care that whenever you are making a new state on the basis of linguistic homogeneity, for example, you are making a new Odisha state for Odia people, or Mysore state for Kannadi people, or Gujarat state for Gujarati people, then you should always keep in mind that it is not affecting the geographical continuity, and there should not be presence of any pocket or corridor, and the resulted state or the State which has been created on the basis of language should be financially self-sufficient, and it should have the capacity of future development. And you can never create a state on the basis of linguistic homogeneity by disregarding the consent of the linguistic minorities. So let us understand what is this linguistic minority. And without their consent, you cannot form a state on the basis of language. Suppose this is an area, and in this area many Odia people are living, but on this land certain people on the border, they are the Bengali speaking population. So now, no matter the state is having more Odia population, but still you cannot create a new Odia state without taking the consent of the Bengali population living in the border area. That means you cannot force the Bengalis to live with the Odia people. Similarly, suppose there is some Marathi speaking people near the border of the Karnataka, and most of the people are speaking Kannada language, but some of the people near the Belgaum are speaking the Marathi language. That means you cannot form a separate state of Karnataka for the Kannadi speaking people without taking the consent of the Marathis of the Belgaums. That means Belgaum and the population of the Belgaum cannot be forced to live with the Kannadis when you are forming a Kannada state. That means linguistic states cannot be formed without the consent of the linguistic minorities living in that linguistic state. So this is a very, very important suggestion, which it is said that this gave the idea of the homeland state. That means the linguistic minorities will be always asked that whether they want to live with the with one community or with their own homeland community. For example, when you are making a separate state for the Odia people, and you see that on the border areas some Bengalis are living, then you have to ask these Bengalis that whether these Bengalis wants to live with the Odisha state, or they would like to be merged with the Bengal. Similarly, suppose on the border of the Bihar and Bengal, in some Bengalis are there in the territory of Bihar, so the Bengalis cannot be forced to live with the Bihar, and they will be asked that whether they want to merge with the where their home state, that is known as Bengal, or not. That means the idea of the homeland was indirectly accepted, however nothing was said explicitly in this commission. Then finally the same things were also given by the JVP committee, with only one exception. JVP committee also said that in country separatist tendencies are there. We have negative experiences of the partition. So under these circumstances, it will not be correct and appropriate to form new provinces on the basis of language, as it can invite many hurdles, as it can invite many fight between the communities for territory, for resources. And going forward, whenever you decide to make new provinces for new India, then they can be on the basis of the language, provided there is no geographical discontinuity, and there is no sacrifice of administrative efficiency, and there is not much economic interdependency on the center. But they made one exception. So however, they said that states reorganization idea should be dropped, and currently India should manage with the British provinces only. India should not indulge itself in creating the new provinces. But he said this committee gave one exception for the state of Andhra, that if government wants to create a separate Telugu state known as Andhra for Telugu speaking people, then they can do it if there is overwhelming demand of people. That means if people are putting too much pressure on the government, then government should create only one linguistic state, and that is Andhra. Other than the Andhra, government should not create any other province in India based on the language, and this exercise should be delayed or deferred till India achieves the political stability and the trust between the culturally different communities grow India should not take the risk of the dividing and reorganizing the territory on the basis of languages, as it can invite many problems and India can enter into a civil war. So because of all these factors, it was decided by the Constituent Assembly to do away with the idea of the reorganizing the states on the basis of the language. And finally you can see, finally it was decided that if you can see here, after making of constitution, so territory was classified into three categories. So before independence and constitution making, India was having governor's province, India was having a lieutenant governor's province, India was having chief commissioner's province, and India was having princely states. We all know that governor's province was very powerful province, and they were autonomous in many matters with respect to the center. But in comparison to the governor's province, lieutenant governor's province were little bit less autonomous and they were more control in the center. Chief commissioner's province was completely under the control of the center, and princely states were completely free except in the matters of external affairs, defense and communication. So central government never controlled princely state except in three matters. So if you compare, out of all these four arrangements, princely state was maximum autonomous. After princely states, governor's province were more powerful. After governor's province, lieutenant governor's province was more powerful, and the least powerful was the chief commissioner's province, which later came to be known as Part C state, and these Part C states later came to be known as Union Territory. So today what we see, the political status of Union Territory, the same political status was enjoyed by the chief commissioner's province during the time of the Britishers. So if you see, what was decided by the Constituent Assembly, that we are not going to make new provinces, we are going to continue with the Britishers arrangement only, and the whatever the arrangement was made by Britishers, we will not do any territorial transfers and adjustments and tampering, but we will change the name of those provinces. So all those provinces which were governor's province, they will now be known as Part A states, and all those provinces which were known as lieutenant governor's province, which was in comparison or relatively less powerful, they were known as Part B states. They were known as Part B states. And then we will see the chief commissioner's province, which was known as Part C states, which was known as Part C states. So, and what about the princely states? So princely states were classified into two categories: larger princely state and smaller princely states. So those princely states who are larger by size, they were put into the category of Part B states, and those princely states which were smaller, they were put into the category of Part C states. For example, definitely you will like to see the example. So here I can show you the example. See, if you will see here, you will see that all this maize color, these are the Britishers area, British provinces, and all this blue color, they were the princely states. So you can see this maize color area is the British territories, and they were either the governor's province or the lieutenant governor's province, correct, or chief commissioner's province. For example, Delhi was chief commissioner's province. For example, UP, United Province, Bihar was governor's province. For example, you can see here Assam, that was the lieutenant governor's province. So lieutenant governor's province was more under the control of the center and less autonomous in comparison with the British provinces, or you can say with comparison with the governor's provinces. And chief commissioner's provinces, for example, Delhi was fully under the control. So half of the India is British territory, and half of the India, the entire Gujarat, entire Rajasthan, entire Kashmir, this Hyderabad region, all these areas were completely known as what? Completely princely states, and India was waiting that these princely states should merge completely with India, and once they merge with India, then later we will convert them into states. But until and unless they are not completely merging, they cannot be converted into a permanent state. So it was decided that bigger princely states like Rajasthan, like you can see, so all these bigger princely states were kept into part B category, which was more powerful than the part C. And the smaller princely state, for example, Coorg is a very small princely state in the state of Karnataka. So smaller princely states were kept in the part C, and these smaller princely states were supposed to be more in the control of the central government, and it was decided at that time only that smaller princely states will never become independent and new states. They will be merged with some of the adjoining states, but the larger princely state will always exist as a separate state based on the so separate state. So bigger princely states classified into part B state and part C state. So what we can say? We can say that there was no formation of new provinces were not made, but old provinces were renamed. For example, governor's province name changed to part A, but the territory of the governor's province is not changing, only the name is changing, because constituent assembly finally it responded as per the advice of SPV committee and the JVP committee, and both these committees advised the constituent assembly that you should not indulge in making the new provinces on the basis of the language. You should continue with the old arrangement of the Britishers only. The only thing which you need to do, that you need to change the name of the Britishers province. You can make a new nomenclature, new classification known as part A, part B and part C, where part A states here in who will remain in part A states. Part A states the governor's province is reserved for part A, and part B lieutenant governor's province plus the bigger princely states like Rajasthan was the part B state. So in Gujarat also the princely states were bigger in size, so they were also kept in the part B state, correct, but the smaller princely states were kept into the part C. So this here we understand that princely states were divided into part B and part C. Some of them went to part B and some of them went to part C. So this was the arrangement done by whom? Arrangement done by the so you can see here that in 1950 there is, if you can see, it is very clear that there is no change in the territorial administration. You can see it very clearly. You can see very clearly that what is part C state. See here, Bhopal was a princely state, but it was a very small princely state. That's why you can see that Bhopal, this is Bhopal, and here you see part C state is light green color. This is Bhopal. This is a very small princely state. This is a small princely state. Tripura is a small princely state. So Tripura is a small princely state. Nagaland was also a small princely state. Then you have here in this region you are seeing this is Coorg region. So Coorg was also a small princely state, right? So all the small princely states became the part of part C, and all the big princely states like you see Rajasthan here in Gujarat, Hyderabad very big princely state, Mysore big princely state, Travancore big princely state. So bigger princely states, Kashmir big princely state. So bigger princely states are going to part B, right? So this was the arrangement, and you can see in 1947 1950 the provincial organization, there is no change in the territory, only the name is changing. So this territory was earlier known as governor's province. Now this Uttar Pradesh or United Province is known as part A state, correct? Bihar, earlier it was known as governor's province. Now it is known as a Part A state. So only the name is changing. There is no territorial changes. So now what will happen? Now we will see that this was not liked by this old system. Continuing the old system was definitely not liked by the Telugu speaking people, and Telugu speaking people protested under the leader, under the great leader. His name is Sri Ramalu, and this man fasted, and he died after some 52 to 53 days of fast. And then immediately this Nehruji, you can see he is what he is, like a snake charmer. He is trying to please one snake. So when he is trying to please one snake, rest of the snakes are also coming. So who is this one snake? This one snake is Andhra. So Nehruji, immediately to satisfy and appease the Telugu speaking people, he decided to make Andhra, not Andhra Pradesh. So Andhra Pradesh is different, Andhra is different. So be very careful. Andhra was separated from this Telugu speaking area was separated. Telugu speaking area was separated from where? Separated from Madras. So if you can see what was Madras, so here it will be clear that this is Madras. This yellow color region was Madras, such a big big state, big province, and these blue area is the area where the Telugus lived, and this Madras state did not include the Telugu speaking areas of Hyderabad princely state, right? So these Telugu speaking area of the Madras, they wanted to separate themselves and form a separate state known as Andhra. So what is Andhra? Andhra equals to Telugu speaking area of Madras state. But later what happened after the state reorganization commission? The Telugu speaking area, you can see this is a state of Hyderabad. This was the princely state of Hyderabad. So this is Hyderabad, and in Hyderabad state, this area was Marathi speaking. This area was you can say Kannadi speaking, and this area was Telugu speaking. So later what happened? This Telugu speaking area of the Hyderabad was merged with the Telugu speaking area of the Madras, and then it became Andhra Pradesh. So when I say what is Andhra, so Andhra is only the Andhra is this is Andhra at that time. So Andhra included Rayalaseema plus coastal Andhra, and this coastal Andhra and Rayalaseema is the Telugu speaking area of Madras state. So they together is known as Andhra. But later, 3 years later, that means after 1953, 3 years later, in 1956, what happened? This Telangana region, what is this Telangana region? This is the Telugu speaking area of Hyderabad. Speaking area of Hyderabad princely states. So when this was merged with the Telugu speaking area of the Madras, they together became Andhra Pradesh. So Andhra Pradesh is the sum of Telugu speaking area of the Madras plus the Telugu speaking area of Hyderabad state. Then it became Andhra Pradesh. So if the question is that when Andhra was formed 1953, when Andhra Pradesh was formed 1956, and which state was the first state to be formed on the basis of the language, the answer will be Andhra, not Andhra Pradesh, which was formed in 1953. Correct? So Nehruji immediately formed a new state known as a state of Andhra, and then various other linguistic communities also started demanding from Nehruji that there should be more reorganization, and if you have made Andhra on the basis of the language, then why not other communities should also be based on language, and why there should not be a separate state for Malayalis, why there should not be a separate state for the Gujarati speaking people, why there should not be a separate state for the Hindi speaking people, why there should not be a separate state for the Kannadi speaking people, why there should not be a separate state for all Marathi speaking people. So this was the demand among the various linguistic communities, that there should be one state for Marathi, for all Marathis there should be one state, for all Gujaratis there should be one state, for all Malayalis there should be one state. And in order to see that all this can happen or not, this Indira Gandhi, you can see Indira Gandhi formed, so not Indira Gandhi, sorry, this Nehru ji formed the first state reorganization commission, which was headed by Fazal Ali, and this Fazal Ali was one of the judges of the Supreme Court. And apart from the Fazal Ali, two more people were there. His name was Hridaynath Kunjru and K.N. Panikar. It was basically an allegation on the Congress that Congress doesn't want to create states on the basis of the language, because this will weaken Congress. Because if Congress is making a separate Marathi state, Gujarati state, or Malayali state, or Tamilian state, or Telugu state, then all the Telugu politicians in the Congress will defect from the Congress, and they will form their own Telugu party to control the administrative aspects of Telugu state. Similarly, all the Malayalis from the Congress will defect from the Congress to form their regional party to control the political affairs of Kerala. Similarly, all Gujarati politicians will defect from the Congress to, for what? To make their own Gujarati party to control Gujarat. So this linguistic reorganization is basically going to weaken Congress. That's why Congress is not favoring the linguistic reorganization. So this was the allegation in the Congress. That's why Congress ensured that all the three members of State Reorganization Commission should be from what? Should be from the non-Congress background. And in this regard, non-Congress committee was formed, and in our next lecture we will see that what was the recommendation of SRC commission, or State Reorganization Commission, or Fazal Ali commission. So here we need to understand that whatever discussion has taken place here, the whole crux of the discussion is what? The whole crux of the discussion is to make you understand that what were the conditions in which the Congress decided not to make new provinces in New India, and what developments unfolded in the independent India which pressurized the government to form a state reorganization commission and form a separate linguistic state. So other developments related with the state reorganization we will see in our next class. So thank you to all of you for listening in this wonderful lecture, and hope this lecture is useful and relevant to you. Thank you so much for today.